But moving on, listen, Ryan, if I told you that there is a rookie quarterback out there that has almost 1,000 yards through 3 games, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions, which rookie quarterback would you have imagined at this point in the year would it have been?
Well, I actually would have thought it would be CJ Stroud.
Well, it is CJ Stroud. And this is going to be another great matchup, I think, for the Texans. CJ Stroud, again, as I had mentioned before, 906 yards, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions. He's not giving up the ball. QBR, though, is 50. So, not great. That's ranked 20th in the league. But for a rookie, completing 64.5% of his passes, you gotta be encouraged by this if you're a Texans fans. Now they're going to play the Steelers this coming week. You have obviously they're playing at home. The Texans are playing at home. Steelers are traveling there, but that Steelers defense has been quite good. TJ Watt still doing TJ Watt things. Minkah Fitzpatrick also still just balling out as well. Here's the thing: the Steelers offense has just been pretty lousy, and so that's why I took the Texans in this game. Initially, I'm still going to take the Texans here. But, man, I'm loving what I'm seeing out of these rookies so far this year. They're not lighting the world on fire. I'm talking, the C.J. Strouds. And I'll throw Jordan Love in there, too, because he's just, he's not a rookie. But, you know what I'm saying. I would say that out of the rookies, C.J. Stroud so far is my favorite. Anthony Richardson also looking great despite the injuries. But, man, this is some exciting stuff from some of the rookies that are coming out this year.
And you know what's really impressive, what helps a young rookie quarterback is to be able to run the football, having that,
Pierce
dimension. But the thing is, Pierce is a talent, but they're not running the football well.
They're not, yeah.
Their yards per carry is 2.8. So the fact that they're doing this with a banged up offensive line, they can't get the running game going, and CJ Stroud then is getting more comfortable. We saw him get rocked in that first game against Baltimore, but I think it was almost a, hey, welcome to the NFL moment. He got more comfortable as time went on.
When we watched that game, there was some really bright spots in that game for sure. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, absolutely. And the fact is, it's all about experience, and anything that you do, it's experience based, right? Yeah. You got to go out there, you got to go through it, and then you got to figure it out. And then the ones that last longer are able to figure it out quicker and understand it. CJ Stroud is figuring this out at a level that is really encouraging. It's also been encouraging for the Houston Texans is a player named Tank Dell. That's their wide receiver that they just brought in, rookie. I'll tell you what, Brad, he got into a more extended role after week 1. He had 7 catches for 72 yards against the Colts. He followed it up with 5 catches, 145 yards, and a touchdown. You already have Nico Collins. You have Robert Woods. And then you're sitting there going, man, he's got some guys that are starting to play together. Robert Woods is a good veteran that you can count on and depend on.
None of them are real playmakers yet.
Well, not yet, but I'll tell you what, Dell looks like a guy that so far to start his career in 3 NFL games, he has 251 receiving yards.
Yeah.
And not having an extended role in week 1, he played really well in the preseason. You're seeing it carry over. The biggest question mark for the Texans in this one, we talked about how poor the offensive line is for the Texans overall. How do they match up with the Steelers pass rush, which is just absolutely devastating between Highsmith and TJ Watt, and their secondaries playing with more confidence? Is CJ Stroud going to feel comfortable with those types of guys coming after him? Because it's not an if, they're coming.
Yeah. I'll say this too. The Texans defense is also quite good. And they're going up against a pretty atrocious Steelers offense. So not great for them. They've only had 1 interception. The turnover battle here, I don't think has been phenomenal for the Texans, but I will say that they haven't been giving up a lot in the form of yards or and they haven't actually caused a lot of turnovers. I was just looking at this. No fumbles forced, only 1 interception, but somehow they've been holding them to some pretty low yards, and really they held the Jacksonville Jaguars to 17 points last week, which is a team that knows how to score points.
Yeah, and it hasn't been exactly into gear for the Jags since week 1, but still they have offensive playmakers. And I think D'Amico Ryans is starting to find, I think that was a signature win for them. And now this would be to build on top of that. And this is a culture changing game for the Texans, in my opinion. Yes, the Jaguars beating them, but it's a divisional game. You followed it up beating a Steelers team with a rookie quarterback. And to me right now, CJ Stroud looks like the best quarterback in the class. Now, Bryce Young's been banged up, so has Anthony Richardson with concussions. But the anticipation that Stroud's throwing the ball with, the confidence, that Georgia game wasn't a fluke in the national championship. That, I think, was the knock. And we've heard this conversation about Ohio State quarterbacks not being able to go to the next level and have success and become the franchise guy. And the recent one that people were talking about was Justin Fields, which I hate seeing in development of a player is a lot. But CJ Stroud in that game really put his team in a position to go to the national championship game. It was sensational.
Yeah.
And it seems like that was the moment of going, you know what, people doubted. And it looks like his confidence ever since that has continued to rise. And I think we're only going to see CJ Stroud get better and better and better. And honestly, I'll say this. I think he has the ability to be better than Trevor Lawrence in that division.
Yeah. Wow. That is a bold statement.
Is that bold? Hear me out.
Yeah.
How about my hear me out for this week? CJ Stroud has a chance to be better than Trevor Lawrence and to actually push the Texans back into the conversation of being the AFC South. Not saying it could be this year. I'm not saying that at all. But the progression he's making with this banged up offensive line, this guy could end up being a future superstar in the AFC.
Wow. All right. I do want to correct myself. I was just looking at the one game. So they only had one interception last week, meaning the Texans defense. Texans defense have had 2 interceptions this season and 5 forced fumbles. 2 of them were recovered. So they have been doing well on the turnover side of things too. It looks as if tackles, they've had 199 tackles. That is crazy. So pretty good on that side of the ball too.
Well, their defense is trying to learn some, right? They had a solid game versus the Ravens. We talked about it. Got humbled by the Colts. The Colts ran the ball extremely well and all over them.
Yeah.
Then a great bounce back game against the Jags. But again, big moment. Can you build off of this? The Steelers, Kenny Pickett had his best game of the season, threw for 235 and 2 touchdowns. But the problem for him was the completion percentage was low, 57%. So for Kenny Pickett, if he can continue to make those strides, really for Kenny Pickett, limit the mistakes.
Yeah.
If he limits the mistakes, has this defense continue to force turnovers, the Steelers are going to be in a great position to win this game. But time will tell. We're going with the upset with Texans at home.